Hi everyone, it's Deb from Project Life Deb's Way. I've got a different sort of layout for you and a double one for this month. I did, as promised, bust my stash from my papers, which I'll just swivel you around, which as you can tell, I've got a wee bit of paper to get through with older collections and things like that, because I fall in love with the new collection so much that I buy extra papers, and then the older collections sort of get shuffled to the background. So I actually went through and just sorted out some random papers from Simple Stories and from an older 6x6.5 inch pad from Kaisercraft as well. I have done, it's all in greens, so there is no other colour bar green, white or black with this layout, so it really has been out of my comfort zone. And what I ended up with is, I'll try and get it out of the light for you, so you don't get, so you can actually see that it does just have green and so it really is sort of in a monotone layout. It was quite difficult to do. It's more difficult than I thought it would be, but I was quite pleased with the outcome when I'd actually finished the last card. I won't say I will do something like this again very quickly, but it was quite a challenge. So I do hope that you follow through and try something similar to this using a similar tone. The only thing is I don't have a cutting diagram like I normally do, because it was from different papers which not a lot of people would have, but I do give the card sizes as I'm making the card, so if you do want to follow through, you can actually see what I actually cut for the card sizes. So I do hope that you try this layout, and don't forget to subscribe and like my channel. It does sort of make things go a little bit easier if I sort of know that people are watching. So let's get on with making our cards. So as normal, here's a sneak peek of the finished layout with all my photographs attached, so that when you're making the cards you do know what it'll look like with photographs added. Okay, out of my stash I've dragged some of my papers that I had just lying around the place, and I did find a small pad of Garden Villa by Kaisercraft, which has all the greens and etc. And I did use the actual florals from for my cutouts, and I've introduced some black leaves as well. Now in this particular tonings, I actually found I had some papers left over from a Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Weathered Garden, which I used some of this, and I used a lot of the ephemera from here, like these here, and this square here I used the backing of it. So that was what I actually used, and I used white for my layering mats. And I also used one of my favourite colours, which I find I use a lot, is the Dove cardstock there, which just made my mats. So it's a real monotone layout, which is very unusual for me. So this is really outside of my box. So let's see what we can make with these papers. Now I haven't got any cutting dimensions for this because it was, as I said, fly by the seat of my pants, so I haven't done any cutting directions as I was cutting, but I will actually give you the sizes as I go through. So I've got my normal 6x4 base card, and then I cut my 5 3/4 by 4 3/4, and I use this quite dark on the right side of the paper with the butterflies on it, because it actually gave me a difference of colour point. So I'm just going to attach that, and once again, because you've just got that little tiny border all the way around. Now this is my eye candy card, so I decided in the center I wanted a print which had the florals on it, and because I was using the other florals, it didn't particularly bother me using that. So I've got my 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 card, which I'm going to pop right into the middle of that card. And I've edged everything in black this time. It needed black, not brown, but I've done my flowers and things in the brown edging. Now if I just plonked those, my flowers would have just absolutely just soaked in. So I decided to use my dove and bring some of that dark colour in, so that when I put my flowers on, you will see it will make my flowers pop out a little bit, and then I can put my 2 pieces like that, and then I'm going to put my leaves that I die cut in there. So I'm going to get my glue ready so it can come down to the bottom. So this here is 2 3/4 by 1 1/2, this piece here. And what I did, I just got my piece of cardstock that I was using, and for instance, I'll just show you on a piece I've got running around here on my desk, just say this piece. I just put my card on there, I would stick that down, and then I'd get my scissors and just eyeball it and cut it. I sometimes find that easier. So we will just pop this and get this centered. And then stick that, and once again you can actually see I've got those little borders running. Now I'm going to stick my flowers on. A butterfly. I am going to use a little bit of backing tape. Once again, I've got my old Gunji scissors for my backing tape, so I don't ruin all my good scissors with sticky. One way of ruining your scissors. Now with my leaves, I think I'll snip these off. And just sort of work them under. As you can tell, I haven't actually pushed my flowers down too hard, so that I could actually just get them to work. Yeah, that looks better. So once I've got them exactly where I want them placed, I will just attach a little bit of glue underneath them. And as you can really see, it is a really monotone. It's mainly just green and white, so very much outside my comfort box, because as you know, I normally love my coloured florals and things, but we all have to set ourselves a challenge. So there's card number 1 done. Here's card number 2, and I cut out of the print. I did have a plain colour, but I found it just muted, so I used the print as a 6x4. I have got my true 3x4 photograph, photo mat, which is going to go right there on the side. Now I've got a 3 3/4. Now I run out of the green, so I used this tone because it was this, you wouldn't notice the difference once I just used it as a backing piece. So I've got the 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and then I just cut slightly smaller at 3 1/2, just to give me that little bit of extra border. So I'll go ahead and I'll attach these down. And this is going to go with that little border all the way around, and I'm going to do my normal trick that I do a lot, which is to just pop my photo mat on that side. Now the reason why I put my papers on this side, if you put your florals on this side, they would have just been lost, whereas here you can actually see your flower. And I've got here a saying which I just cut the words off: life is beautiful. Now don't put any glue on the edge here, glue it once your photograph is in place. Now these are the little leaves I had to give us a bit of focal point with the flower. So there we have it there. So I'm just going to put a strip of attachment on my flower. And not press it down too hard, and then I can put a little bit of glue on my leaves. And then very quickly I can center up my saying. Making sure not to put any glue on my part of my photograph. And then as soon as you put your photograph in, you can attach that down. And there's card number 2. We're doing card number 3 now. So I've got my normal white, I've did a white 6x4 this time, and to follow through I've done the butterfly print, which is a 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, just to give you that flow through with that border. I then got a 2 inch by 3 1/2 inch piece of that dark card, and I laid it onto my Dove cardstock and cut around with just a small border. mainly because if I'd put it onto this card it would have just soaked in and you couldn't see it. Now onto this here I have just put a tiny bit of this, which I've cut my 3.5 and I just snipped a bit off the top. So it worked out just under 3.5 by 1 inches, and I'm going to just pop that on there like that, and then I've got my 3x4 photo mat which will go here. So we'll just attach this like that, attach my 3x4 photo mat, now with my flowers I cut one smaller one and one larger one, and I'm going to put the larger one onto some mounting tape. So I'll do that straight away, and I've got 3 leaves. So I'm going to stick my little flower with my little leaves and poke them up. Then I will pop my big flower down slightly off center and then attach my leaf down the bottom to give me the length of those flowers. And there we have card number 3 complete. Card number 4 is a really easy one. All I have is my 6x4 which I cut in the butterfly paper, and I've got my 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I'm going to have one big photo mat there, just like that, and that's card number 4 complete. And I just edged the edge with some black distress ink. Card number 5, B and D are very easy. I've just got my 3x4 in the dove, my 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, so it virtually is, you just take off, if you do your 3x4 1/8, your little strips either side, and that works out your strip, if you do it that way, is 1/8. So it just gives you that little bit of a border on your cards there. So then you can just center these up. And there's your 2 photo cards. Finished. Now this one was a real think outside the box as well. I'd run out of this print paper, but there was one of these in the 6. So what I've done, I've chopped it down so it is going to sit, as you can see, inside the card. So I've just edged 3 sides there. Now I had a great floral piece here, so what I have done, I've cut round the floral, and then I'm going to pop that onto the card and overlay it, and that way you get that nice little peekaboo window inside. Now I've cut a couple of the flowers to go down the bottom here. I've also got one to go up the top, so I'm just going to stick that with some glue got one little leaf here. Which I'm going to pop underneath. Now this one I'm going to mount on some mounting tape. Just work out where it looks the best. Okay, I've got a couple more little leaves there, so we'll pop those underneath. Work out where I'm going to put these, glue them down. Grab my mounting tape. And then just attach everything down. Anything overhanging, just snip them off, otherwise they won't go in to your pocket. So there's one of our eye candy cards sneakily done. Now with this one I just used some of the green, but I wanted to introduce that colour, and because all of them I've put them into a border, I've done the same, which is roughly a 3/4 of an inch piece. So I'm going to attach that. This is where cutting it with your scissors is really good, because that way you can actually stick it down and then just trim round it, and you know that all your borders will be the same. But because this is a little bit uneven, I'm just going to get my scissors and give it a quick snip. Now I'm going to lay this down, and as you can tell, it brings in all the borders that you're doing, so that it all tends to match up and keeps your continuity going. Now I'm going to put here, because my flowers just muted in and there was a leaf there, so I thought what I'll do is I'll bring some of that print in and just whack that on there. And then when I do this, it just introduces a little bit of focal point. Now this is going to be put on flat. So I'll bring that over and lay that on. Now I've got a flower here I'm going to put here. And once again I'll put that onto a bit of mounting tape. And then I found a little tiny word here called smile, so I'm very gently just distressing by sort of pouncing on the actual edge, and I'm going to put a little smile into this heart. There we have our two lovely little eye candy cards there, all done. Now unfortunately I've misplaced my white card, so I will cut myself another white card, a 3x4 card, so we can actually get that done. I don't know where it went, but okay, we'll stick that onto our card to give us that little border. So there we have one side completely finished. There we are. There's a sneak peek at all the cards, and I really do think they'll look so nice once they have photographs attached, because then you'll actually get all the different colours coming through. Card number 6, we've got our 6x4 Dove cardstock, and then this is the one that had the surface, which is a 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and that goes straight on to your base card centered. Now I've got my 3x4 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 photo mat, which is going to go up the top. I wanted a fairly plain card for this one, so I've just trimmed up a little tiny bit of a card here, and this is 3 1/2 by just over an inch. I just wanted that tiny little bit of border all the way around, and I've edged it with black. And then I found some wording with memories on there, so I have virtually put it on some scrap of the Dove cardstock and cut it with my scissors to give me that. Now I don't know, we're going to pop that down first. And then we're going to get some of our mounting tape again, pop it on our flower, pop our flower down, and I've got some leaves here to just tuck underneath. Might even pull that one off. And tuck it underneath there. There we have a very simple card done. Okay, on to card number 7. Now I used one of the 6x4 sort of from this sheet here, because I needed that colour backing paper, and I didn't have enough of this to run the correct way, so I had to run it the opposite way, which, as you know, I don't normally like doing. And this is 2 inches by 5 3/4 to give you that strip. Now I've got a 3x4 photo mat here. That's going on my 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 to give me that border. Then this is going to sit down the bottom, sort of centered, and then I found a nice sort of little love heart here, which I'm just going to tuck underneath with the butterfly. And then I've got my flower, and I'm going to lay everything flat on this one. Just get everything sort of positioned as we want it. And once I've done that, I can get everything attached. So I'm just going to stick that little bit of butterfly over the top. There we have card number 7 done. We're on to the eye candy card, what I class as an eye candy card. So I've got my true 6x4 in my print. I use the butterfly print, which I've cut down to 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 to give me that border. Now I've also cut my dove, which is 3 inches by 5 1/2, so it just fits inside that square. And just get that border working again. And then this one is 2 3/4 by 5 1/4, and that will give you that nice insert that's going on there. Now I've got a lovely little saying, it's not what we have in life but who we have in life that matters. I'm going to pop that up in the top corner. Now I've got a big flower here and another one, and because of the way that that is working, I may move that over to the other side because it works better if the flower's this side. Okay, so then I'm going to stick this down once I've got it, once I'm happy with sort of where everything's going. And I will put that on mounting tape to match up with everything else. Just pop a bit of tape working around there, and just drop my leaves in. Now I'm going to stick my leaves first, then I'll take there we have a very nice little eye candy card. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there because that's popping up. Complete. On to card number 9. Now I had to do a bit of a sneaky trick because I've got my 6x4 with my white, but I didn't have enough of this left. So what I've done, I've cut enough for the top and enough for the bottom, and I cut myself a full strip that goes all the way across, and that way you wouldn't even know that that wasn't a 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 inch card. So we're just going to attach that up the top with my border, and then attach the bottom. And then this piece here, I've done a 1 3/4 inch piece, and as you can see I was absolutely desperate because I've had to actually join that together because I didn't have enough to make my 4-inch strip, but I made it work. Now I've got my 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 mat, which my 3 by 4 photograph will go on top because that gives me that nice border. And then this is going to go up the top like that. Just pop that on. So you wouldn't even know that I didn't have enough cardstock there. Now I've got a lovely little ephemera, but don't stick this down because you need to be able to get your photo in. So I will attach that just at the bottom, but I will put a bit of tape on the top so when my photograph goes on I can attach that. And I've also got a flower here which I want just on the top, attached once again with some mounting tape. Your layering's quite important with this because you haven't got much colour, so you do need something to give it a lift. Oh, I'll just tuck my 2 little leaves in. And there's card number 9. So all we've got left now is our 4 of our 3 by 4 cards to complete the whole layout. Onto our photo cards, which I have got once again my Dove 3 by 4, and then I've just taken that slither off both sides just to give me that border, and that gets centered. And this one here, I've got my 3 by 4 which I've edged in black. I've got some of that green which was 3 3/4 by 4 4/4. And then I cut another smidging off of this one, so that worked out at 3 5/8 to just give me 2 little photo mats. Now this is card 10B and 10, oh sorry, it's 10A and 10C. Now this particular cards I had to do out of what was scraps that were left. So I had a bit of this green here, so I've got my 3 by 4. Then I thought, oh, I'll do a white photo mat with just a little bit cut off. And I think that was 3 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then I cut the same card and then I just cut off, if you have a look here, just a little bit off of both sides to make that little border. So we'll go ahead and we'll attach those cards. And center them all up. Just like that. Then I had this one here, and because it's got a different floral, I'm going to use 2 of the flowers that I cut, but I'm going to put them on mounting tape. but I decided on here to introduce that polka dot. Now this is a 2" by 2 1/4, and just sort of pop that so you got the borders. Then this is going on smack bang in the middle, and then I'm going to just pop my florals right in to the middle. I did have 2 leaves, but one's gone out for a run. So when I find the other couple of little leaves, I'll stick them onto the cards. So there's one. Now the other one, I had my dove card. I cut a little bit I had left over from the butterfly paper, which I've edged in black. Then on the one of the sheets they had this cut out, and I thought that would be good for the label for when you put the date, or you know, if you've got writing or anything else that you want. And it also will cover up the fact that the butterflies are working the wrong way. And then I found this nice little saying, so I'm going to lay that flat and just pop that over the edge as far as I can get, and then I can use that for doing some journaling and things like that. So there is our eye candy cards done. With this, it was mainly the cutting of the squares and deciding what papers to use with this line that was the difficulty. And there we have the finished layout, and I did find my 2 little leaves that decided to do the runner and that. So there we have our layout. So now I've just got to put my journaling in and my photographs, and then I can give you a sneak peek of what it looks like with your photographs. So here's the finished layout, all completed with my photographs added. I just have to put my secret journaling pocket at the back and pop these into my plastic sleeves and pop them into my album, as it's virtually complete now. I do hope you enjoyed doing this out of the box layout using some of my old stash, and are as pleased with the finished outcome as I have been. It was a difficult layout to do, but I think it was well worth the trials that I went through to get this done. So until next time, keep crafting. Bye.